Hello, and welcome to the DoneJS contributors meeting. Today is Friday, May 26th, 2017. My name is Chasen, and today I'm joined by a few people on the core team. Want to introduce yourselves?
Hey everyone, sorry.
No problem, go ahead.
I'm Chris. Hi everyone for being awkward already.
I'm Kevin Dillon.
I'm the other Kevin.
Matthew Phillips.
Cool. A little hiccup at the beginning, but otherwise that was way smoother than we've ever accomplished. Round of applause. Today we're gonna go through our status, what we worked on this previous week, and what we plan on working on next week. And then we'll go to topics. No one posted anything in the forums as far as I'm aware, but we have a few topics that we want to discuss anyway. So I'll get started. So for a while, I've been working on an article for SitePoint. I submitted it for peer review earlier this week, and hopefully it'll be published as early as next week or maybe the week after. And then I've started working on updating our main DoneJS presentation for 1.0. And as part of that, I've cleaned up the chat guide a little bit and fixed a bug with bit tabs. And then I started, right now we collect Google Analytics for all of our sites, but we haven't really been using the stuff that we collect. So I've been working on adding annotations for our stuff and then working through user flows to see if we're actually being effective in getting people through the site. So next week, I'll be basically working on finishing up all of those things. I still have a migration guide blog post that I haven't worked on in weeks, but I'm gonna hopefully be able to get to next week. And then I've got other evangelism stuff going on. So that's me. Kevin Dillon, you wanna go?
All right, so for me, in terms of submissions, I basically just submitted a couple bug fixes. There wasn't anything all that major this past week. I do have some other stuff that I wanted to talk about, though. So recently, actually as of last night, I realized that a lot of the events that we're sending we're not necessarily sending all the events that we would want to accurately simulate user behavior for both SYN and FunkUnit. And this is something that we sort of talked about before. So we're planning on doing an audit of the events that we're sending and making sure that that we're sending all kinds of basically making the events, the event submissions or the event creation system, making it a little bit smarter than what it's currently doing. So right now,
sorry to interrupt you, Kevin.
Sure.
Let's talk about this after we go through everyone's status for the week.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Okay. Kevin Phillips, you want to go?
Sure. So this week, other than helping other people get stuff done, I've been focused on getting Can Reflect working. So me and another developer at Patobi, Brad, have been working hard on this. We're hoping to have an initial release out in the next week or week and a half that will have at least the main performance improvements that we're looking for with Can Reflect. So Can Stash and Can Stash bindings, and Can Component and Can Define and Can List, all the main core pieces. We'll use Can Reflect under the hood so that we can use observations in our templates, which should have a big speed up. So that's what I've been focused on, and that's what I'll be focused on next week also.
Cool, sounds good. Matthew?
Hey, I've been working on a lot of HTTP2 things past couple weeks. I wrote an article, which I'm hoping will go up mid next week sometime, about kind of what we're doing with DoneSSR and HTTP2. I hope to have a demo today, but I ran into some snags, so it didn't quite get there. Hopefully, but I'm thinking next week I should be able to demo some stuff so you get a better idea of what we're doing.
Cool, sounds good. Okay, let's go to topics. Sorry, Kevin, to interrupt you. I just wanted to quickly get through everyone's status for the week. So yeah,
basically just submitted a couple bug fixes. There wasn't anything all that means. I hear you playing me back.
That was weird. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, so a while back we wanted to do an audit of events. So there's a bunch of
Kevin, do you have the live stream open?
Do I have the live stream open?
Jason, it sounds like you have the live stream open.
You mean like, am I watching myself on YouTube?
Yeah, that's what he means.
No, I'm not.
Are you sure it's not you, Jason?
Sorry, it was totally me. Wow, sorry. Sorry. To like explain what was going on, I had the live stream open in the tab that I didn't know about, so I was hearing Kevin Dillon talk while he was also talking. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Do you want to? Do you want to talk about Kevin? Do you want to talk about the func unit instance stuff?
Okay. Yes, I would like to talk about it. So,
sorry.
So a while back we wanted to do an audit of events. Basically, the way that func unit sends events, whatever you ask for basically gets sent. Now that doesn't take into account necessarily unfocusable or like the touch action CSS properties, anything like that. Any kind of like suppression for chaining. We don't send things like pointer cancel events. The drag and drop isn't necessarily accurate. So for drag and drop, there isn't actually like a pointer up event at the end of a drag and drop sequence. It just becomes part of the drag sequence. And for certain like scrollable panes and stuff like that, the mouse events eventually get canceled and it just becomes a scroll event. So there's all these things that that right now we're doing that don't necessarily map one-to-one to what a user would actually generate on these pages. So I'm planning on doing like a staged audit of all these different types of events and making it so that func unit mimics them as closely as possible for a wide variety of browsers. And I'm hoping that most browsers will fall into certain categories, but just to be sure, I'm going to make it so that that it's a little bit smarter than that, so that it doesn't, so it's less rigid, so that we can actually make it so that in different situations it can send different types of events. And that's pretty much the big thing for me in terms of what I've discovered and what I plan to do. Now, part of this upgrade that I want to do is right now these SYN tests specifically, they run on, they will generate elements, they'll attach listeners to it, and then they'll perform an action. And that makes it really difficult to audit because you can't just go in and see what a user generates. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start converting a bunch of the tests to actually test against web pages rather than generating elements, attaching stuff, and seeing what events are generated. Yeah, I'm going to go on from there. So I've got a list of stuff to look at and start upgrading. And the goal of this would be to make it as accurate as Selenium. So Selenium is obviously the industry standard, but it's super slow, and it's slow, and it's prone to certain types of mysterious failures. So that's why we at MathWorks decided not to do it. I mean, we still use it for our end-to-end testing, but for any type of integration testing or GUI unit testing, stuff like that, we've discovered it's not very good, and func unit's much better, which is why I'm here. But our goal would be to eventually get it to a point where func unit is as good, maybe even better than Selenium in terms of the fidelity of the accuracy of user behavior, basically.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about.
Hey, Kevin, do you think it would be possible, this is like very possibly not the case, I wonder if it would be possible to like create a page, create a tool to where like you like do some stuff and it records all events that happen. It kind of, because you wanted to, you were talking about like, you know, sometimes the mouse events are canceled, or sometimes the mouse events stop happening during a drag and that kind of thing. I wonder if it'd be possible to create some type of tool where you just you can listen to all events. Is there a way to listen to all events? Like just like generically listen to all events? And I don't know. I'm just wondering if there's some way that you could actually not automate, but at least create a tool to where you could do your audits. You could like actually, you know, figure out what events do fire.
Yeah. So.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I had the same idea like a week ago, that it would be really nice if we could do like generate, like you said, have someone going through a page, recording all of their events specifically, and then just actually taking that generated log file and creating like code based off of that. So so that it would go through exactly how a user would, and then we could create these configurations, these like walkthroughs per each browser and get all of the differences. That would be cool. I don't know. We can't listen to all events, but we can listen for the ones we know about as far as the DOM goes. So
Yeah,
if
stick
we
it on the body or something. That way you just capture everything.
Yeah.
I think the dev tools, you can do like monitor events, which will actually display all of the events, but I think you have to give it a specific element. So that might be difficult.
So in Chrome, you can actually get a timeline of all events that are triggered on a page. It's pretty heavy, but
yeah,
it does exist.
Cool. Yeah, that's kind of depressing, but also cool. I think that you're able to figure out, you know, these holes. Yeah, it's. I mean, you know, everything you said. It sounds like it can be programmed to fix. Like you can check for styles, and you can know like stuff that's not clickable and that kind of thing. Like it's totally doable.
Well, so a lot of this stuff, I don't think it's that depressing because it's. I think it's more of an 80-20 rule thing. So we're covering the 80% case, and now for stuff that's really, really sensitive to like event order and stuff like that, we should start trying to get that as going as well. But like some stuff, especially in the pointer event and touch event stuff, so like there's a bunch of timing that's associated with that. So if you do like a touch start and a touch end in a certain like scrollable pane within 300 milliseconds, so we're getting really, really specific here, that's when it shifts over to being a scroll event. So we might actually have to increase the flexibility of some of the APIs as well, because if you're doing like a drag drop, you might have to specify at some point whether or not you want to turn to a scroll, things like that. I don't know. Actually, no, you probably wouldn't. So I shouldn't speculate here live on the stream, but I'm just trying to describe like some of the edge cases here. So there are some events over times with specific cutoff points, which will change the behavior of subsequent events in certain situations and stuff like that.
Well,
right. And this is why I think we need a dedicated audit and test pages where we can quickly audit it, so that in the future we can make sure that our event order and the events in general that we're generating are what a human would generate.
Yeah, I was thinking, I wish there was some way to test this, to test that we're doing the accurate events, but how do you test something? You know, you can't use sin to test sin, so you can't really automate this. I don't think it. I think it has to be a human-led kind of thing, like an audit.
Yeah, I figure that if I just go through it every 6 months or maybe quarterly or something like that, just to make sure it's accurate. Shouldn't take that long. So
Yeah, you'll probably be able to, have some type of test to do that. You have like some steps that you go through, and yeah. Cool.
I mean, we could, if we're setting Selenium as a baseline, we could always automate Selenium on one side, Function on the other side, and make sure it's the same. But then you run into a situation where, what if Selenium's doing something wrong?
Right.
Can we take advantage of Chrome headless for anything now that we have that?
Are you able to do events with Chrome headless?
Well, I don't know. But we have a new thing now. Why don't we just throw everything at it and see what it can do?
Exactly. We have a new thing that should solve everything, right?
Can we use code mods for this somehow?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's good. That's a good point. Maybe there's some type of, because you do have access to all the DevTools APIs, I believe.
Yeah.
All the stuff DevTools can do through that, but I don't know what it does as far as events.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I mean is, if we're going to choose a baseline, if Chrome headless can provide us a baseline instead of Selenium, that would be a lot better. For doing any audits, because that's an actual browser. And even when Selenium falls behind, Chrome is always going to be, well, it's always got to work. So that would probably be better if we could pick. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we still need something to initiate the events, which I think what he was suggesting Selenium for.
Oh.
Right. So in the case of Selenium, what we would do is we would just, so Selenium can bring up a browser in a whole bunch of different web pages and stuff like that, and it can perform events on that page. So what we could do is we could have it so that it brings up a web page in Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and then it also brings up the FunkUnit version of that page, and then just diffs the event order. We just have it like print out either to like, I don't want to really use console.log, so maybe some element on the page or something like that, and then it just reads that and diffs it.
Cool. Kevin Dillon, you mentioned that you have some lists of things that you're going through. Are any of those available, or it could be put into an issue just to be able to understand like what you're working on and progress and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I can make an item for each one that I want to tackle, and yeah, we can just go through them. I'm gonna probably try and do about one a week. I think that's a really good cadence, and it won't take away too much from my regular work. So, and that can really get this moving along, I think.
Cool, that's awesome. Okay, anything else on this before we move on? Nope, cool. Okay, Chris, did you want to talk about some Testy and CanJS stuff?
Yeah. So just this morning, we released 0.6 of Testy. Let me share my screen so I can put up the release notes. Bam. So this changed. Can everyone see this okay? Can
All
you?
good. Yeah.
All right. Yes.
All right, cool.
Yes.
So this change to Testy, it does two things. The main thing is that we're now using native promises. We were using the Q promise API for our promises. That was good when Testy had just been started. For backwards compatibility, a lot of Node versions didn't support promises, but the current version range of Node that we support, everyone has native promise support. So there's really no reason to have Q stick around as a dependency anymore. So this version bump moves us on to native promises. It is a breaking change, but it's not. We haven't done a version 1.0 of Testy yet, so a minor change is considered a major change in that way. So there are some changes. If you've been using Testy just from the command line, you don't have to change anything. if you were running testy programmatically, you may have to change certain things relating to the promises, specifically right here. Any calls to done, replace with then, fail, replace with catch. If you have more rare usages, they both native promises and the Q API have really good docs. And if all else fails, you can ask me if things get a little bit too complicated. Definitely don't be worried to reach out, because I'll help. Promises are really cool challenges for me. I like the asynchronous challenge that the API introduces. But anyway, yeah, so that's the one change to testy that came out in this release. The other one, which I'll add here, is that we've deprecated the grunt testy task. So in previous versions, we exported directly from the testy project the grunt task for testy. Grunt usage has been declining year over year. So at some point, I decided that it would be better to break it out into its own thing, so that everyone using testy wouldn't have to also get the task as part of their source. So it's a smaller download marginally, but it's also separated out, and I've put tests around it, and I've fixed quite a few issues surrounding the actual task. So that's in its own separate repo now. I should probably show that. So you can use this directly. Again, this isn't breaking for this release. You can still use the grunt task directly from testy in this version. But in the next minor, it will be completely removed. So just transition with caution. That's all I have to say about testy today.
Cool. That's awesome. Is there a like road to 1.0 or some or like a roadmap for 1.0 or a list of issues before we hit 1.0 with testy, or just iterating?
There isn't one currently. The person to ask for that is David, but he's not here for what? We still have 4 more weeks until he comes back.
Yeah,
so,
it's a while.
Yeah, so he'll be the person to ask about that. I really don't know about the long-term goals and what a 1.0 would really mean for testy, but when he comes back, we can get clarification.
I think it's pretty much there. I mean, I use testy in a lot of projects, not just like, I mean, in personal projects, it works very, very well. So
yeah,
unless there's something major that he wanted to change before you get there, which maybe there is.
Mm. Well, like the command line usage is really good. There are some kinks that I'd like to work out with how you use it programmatically. Changing over to native promises was a big thing that I wanted to see changed. But there are other things that can be improved, improvements to the configuration file you can give to testy, and I'd like a little bit more interactivity. And I don't really know what I mean as I say that, but there are improvements that can be made. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a 1.0. Hopefully it's soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure David really had a roadmap in mind. It might just be something we need to create an epic, and we can all kind of brainstorm and add things. I think like Matthew said, I think we've hit a lot of the big things. I think, Chris, you fixed a lot of the big things recently. That coverage fix was big. That was important to get done for 1.0, and these changes are good too. So maybe we just need to create a 1.0 epic and add a few things and discuss it in one of these upcoming meetings.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. Anything else on testy before we move on? Nope. Okay. Chris, DoneJS stuff?
Yeah. So to be fair, Kevin was working on this before me, and I always get Kevin's work when it's 80%, and then he just hands it off to me. But let me share my screen again because it's another release. So this is, we had a memory leak. Can everyone see this again?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is a leak that we found in can stash bindings. The scenario that triggered this was actually, so you have a component, and inside of that you have a child component. And if there's a binding between the parent component to the child through event binding, if that child component was removed, then that binding would not be cleaned up. The only cases where it would be cleaned up is if the attribute changed. We handled that case if in the template the attribute was actually removed somehow. That was the only case we were handling it. So when you removed the DOM node, the event binding would stay around, and that was causing a leak. It's a pretty problematic leak if it's triggered the right way. So we're going to release a patch release of the main can project next week that will include this fix. There's really nothing that any end users have to do. It's just important to know that you should probably update. This is can stash bindings 3.1.5. So if you're below that, you should get above that. That's really all there is to say. I'd like to mention that there's been this really nice guy who's been just finding all of these memory leaks, and I really appreciate it. I mean, the whole team really appreciates outside contributors helping track down these memory leaks. You know, there's just some things that we just don't think to cover in our test, and it's really valuable that people come and give us very detailed reports like this, giving us like actual heap screenshots. It made everything very easy to move forward and find a fix for it. So I really appreciate. I can't pronounce his name, but I really appreciate what he did. So thank you to that guy.
Yeah, that is really awesome and super valuable. Is the can stash bindings fix going to be in the next minor version of CanJS? Are we doing any patch releases on 3.8, or is 3.9 going to be the next?
Well, no, there should be a patch release. I think Kevin said he was going to try and do that Tuesday.
Yeah, I think we'll put a patch maybe just for this. I'll have to take a look because there have been some other minor releases that have been published. So we'll see what we can get in. But I'm shooting for a release Tuesday with whatever this and whatever else makes sense to get in.
Cool. Sounds good. Cool. Did anyone have anything else that they wanted to talk about before we go? Nope. Okay. Kevin, no?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you guys for showing up. Everyone who's watching on the live stream, thanks for watching. And see you guys in a week. Bye.
Bye-bye.